everyone. I am Jen Ritchie, your host of Wildlife Conversations. Thank you so much for being here. This is a place to hear from new voices in wildlife photography and to build community outside of social media as we celebrate the wild. But first, I want to take a moment to thank Roberts Camera and Used Photo Pro for partnering with the podcast. With one of the largest inventories of new and pre-loved camera gear in the country, they have the gear you need at the prices you want. I'll be speaking there this weekend, October 25th from 12:30 to 1:30. There are a few spaces left if you'd like to visit robertscamera.com to sign up. And also you can find the Roberts exclusive contact and coupon code for Wildlife Conversation listeners in this episode's description. Well, I am so excited to talk to my guest today. Based in North Carolina, she travels all over the world photographing wildlife in their natural habitats. She also offers photography workshops in Alaska, Patagonia, India, and Africa, and has been featured in numerous publications. She's won several photography contests, including the 2022 Wildlife Photography Comedy Awards, which we'll hear more about later. And she's also filmed and co-produced 2 conservation documentaries featuring the need for safe wildlife passages along the coastal routes and the endangered red wolves. It's my pleasure to welcome Jennifer Hadley. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, Jen.
I know we're going to be Jennifer and Jen tonight. We talked about that. Well, it's so nice. It's so nice to see your face and to meet you. I know we've been following each other and planning this, so it's just nice to see you and get to meet you and just continue to build this community. So I'm really glad you could be here.
Thanks so much for having me. I've been super excited to join you and love your podcasts. And so, yeah, really happy to be
Thank
here.
you. Thank you. People are already saying hello in the chat. We're
Hi,
going to have a lively
everyone.
group tonight, I think. I can tell. Yes, we are. Oh, my
All the
goodness.
cool people are here.
Oh my goodness. Hello, everybody. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Cassia. Hi, Trish, Phoebe. I can't see everybody's name. Sorry. Leanne, Tom, Yuki. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I can't see that one. Sometimes they're just like, Jennifer's here. Oh, how fun. You guys, thanks so much. If you haven't said hi in the chat, say hello to Jennifer and tell us where you're listening from. And it's going to be a great night tonight. So thanks so much. And be ready also thinking about some questions you have for Jennifer that you can put in the Q&A box later. So, so you've been photographing since 2017, and we are going to talk about your journey to photography in a little bit. But I wanted to start with sort of this heart project that you've been working on with a couple colleagues, and you can tell us how much you've done on your own as well, but a lot with red wolf conservation and the wildlife corridors in North Carolina. So do you want to start with that? Tell us a little bit about that.
I do. After I got into wildlife photography, this wonderful opportunity came along to do some conservation work, which I'd never really kind of thought about when I first started. And so in 2021, my dear friend and colleague Cassia Rivera, who's on this call today, came to my other friend Nancy Earhart and myself and said, "Hey, I want to make a film about red wolves and their plight and the challenges that they face here in North Carolina." And of course, red wolves are critically endangered. At the present moment, there's a little less than 30 in the wild, which has grown since 2021 when we started this. And it took all of about 2 seconds for us to say yes to Cassia to do this film. But as it dawned on us what this meant, we realized that we're not videographers, we're not filmmakers. And so we had this task ahead of us of like, hey, how do we make a short documentary film with zero experience among the 3 of us? And but that's how it started. It started with an idea that Cassia had, a dream, and it went from there. And we jumped right into it because the busy season was coming. So we had a very tight deadline to make this film. And we just dove in with storylines and filming. And I remember when Cassia, because we're photographers, so we take pictures. But Cassia, kept telling us, "Don't forget, make sure you film, make sure you film." So, we had to really rethink things and
Yeah,
really go into a completely different direction
yeah,
to make this one that wasn't natural to us.
yeah.
So
So what is the plight of the red wolves in North Carolina? There are 30, about
there's
30?
almost 30 now with some
Yeah.
of the new pups that were born this spring.
Yes.
When we made the film, and that was one of the challenges, was there was maybe 10. So
Wow.
there were so few on the landscape that making a film about them, and not actually having a red wolf in a film would be really, bad. So it was really tough for us to even find one to film.
Yeah.
So, but they're critically endangered.
Mhm.
Um, their biggest challenge is being able to travel safely in their habitat. It's a very fragmented habitat with highways 64 and 264 crossing through that area. The speeds there are 55, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is when you're on a
Yeah.
very narrow two-lane road
Mhm.
with very little shoulder, and
Yeah.
animals run out into the road. And of course, there's a lot of speeding there. So, as the holiday traffic, as beach traffic is going down 64 towards the Outer Banks, that's where there's a lot of issues with them getting hit by cars and
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
drawn out by other animals that have been hit by cars, drawn out
True.
to eat those animals. So it's been a really big challenge to tackle, but I
Yeah.
think we're making headway as a
Yeah.
state.
I want to show the photo of the wolf that so sadly was hit um in, I think, was it in December of 23?
Mhm.
Um that was a really sad story. A good daddy.
So that's Wolf 2323M, and he was the patriarch of the Milltail pack, the
Hmm.
famous Milltail pack. And he was the father of a second litter of pups,
Hmm.
or he was hit by a vehicle. And, this photo was taken in the middle of the day in the summer. It's hot. There, he was, hunting to, bring back food for his family,
Hmm.
for his partner and his pups, and so he had a lot of mouths to feed, and
Yeah.
he just worked tirelessly to provide, and he was a great wolf. And that day, I really remember learning the news of his death, and it was a
Yeah.
crushing blow to us photographers, and so I can't even imagine the blow it was to the folks that work on the Red Wolf recovery team, uh,
Hmm.
that work so hard to try to help these animals and reintroduce these animals and save these animals. So it was crushing on all fronts. But from that came more action and even more determination to help these animals. So
Yeah.
our entire site that we'll talk about later, the wildlife corridor site, is dedicated to 2323M.
Yes, I saw that. That was so nice. Um, and the orange collar is not just to track him, but the orange is also for what purpose?
So the orange collar is also reflective, so it helps people see the wolves by the roadsides in the dark,
Hmm.
dusk and dawn, when they're most likely to get hit. And I've had a lot of really great conversations with people about those collars, because of course people see the collar and they're like, "Oh, it's so huge. Why can't we just stick a little chip in them?" And you can't do that. It's very difficult. It's a wild animal. It's not like putting a chip in your cat or dog.
Yeah,
Um, and the reason it's big is because it has to have a very long life battery. It's traumatizing and very difficult for these animals to be caught, and to have these collars put on. So the less you can do that, the better.
that's true.
And so
Yeah.
batteries have to really last a long time, and that's the technology that's available today, is to have a
Hmm.
collar that size. But hopefully in the future, as technology gets better, those collars can get smaller.
And they also put up big signs, the big mobile signs with the flashing, the words coming across to warn people.
Yes, there's three signs out there,
Okay.
two on 64 in either direction, and one on 264,
Hmm.
warning people of that this is a red wolf area, and to be aware, and to be alert and slow down. So those have done, not only have they,
I'm making sure these are the right pups. Are these pups as well?
Yes, these are the
Okay.
pups. Yeah.
Okay.
They
I don't
adore.
want to put up the wrong pups.
Nope, that's those are some of the pups that
Mhm.
Milltail pack that they were born to the Milltail pack,
Yeah, yeah.
2323M.
Oh man.
But yeah, those signs have really generated a lot of talk and a lot of buzz around red wolves, and have gotten people interested. So in some respects, they serve a lot of purpose.
Yeah, I would think so. And are what are the advances? What has happened in the last year that you gives you hope?
Well, one of the things that gives me hope is that North Carolina was awarded a $25 million wildlife crossing grant by the federal government. And one of the projects our team worked on with Wildlands Network is to actually apply for a federal grant, the state has to come with its own funds already. And there's a
Hmm.
minimum threshold that you have to meet. And so there was a push to kind of raise the money, and there was an anonymous donor, but it just, we didn't have enough as a state still.
Yeah.
And so, we worked with Wildlands Network on a very short kind of 3-minute little film that they could present to North Carolina Department of Transportation directly to ask for the
Hmm.
funds.
Hmm.
Not only, and so Wildlands Network led that charge. And so not only did NCDOT give we had asked for 2 million, not only did they award the 2 million, they awarded 3.5. So
Ooh,
we went to the federal government with more than the minimum
that's nice.
requirement of funds already.
Yeah.
And so the federal government actually awarded the full 25 million, which is really great. And that's for wildlife crossing and other remediations right in that red wolf territory.
Hmm.
Which is a
And you
really,
said you can actually see some of it being built now.
well, there's a different project
Different
that's
one, a different project.
yeah, a
Okay.
different one that's happening now, which is the Big Bridge project.
Okay. Well, that's great. That's great. And I was telling you that it reminded me when I watched you. Oh, tell everyone the name of your film. Is it?
So it's Rite of Passage.
Yes, yes,
That's the first film that we made. It's a short
yes.
documentary film, and it really kind of looked at not only the plight of red wolves and other wildlife, but the human impact of wildlife collisions. Because a lot of people think of wildlife crossings and they think of these issues for wildlife as being only for wildlife, but they're really not.
Right,
Once we started looking at the data for the film, we found that how many deaths there were associated with these wildlife collisions right here in North Carolina, how
right.
many injuries there were, and then how many millions of dollars it costs insurance companies and hence us in
Yeah,
increased insurance premiums for these wildlife collisions. So these wildlife crossings are great for everybody. They're great for wildlife. They're great
yeah,
for people traveling these highways. So, I'm hoping that as a nation, we begin to see how beneficial this kind of infrastructure is, uh,
yeah.
all of us.
It's interesting that you have to talk about the insurance and the money, you know, the
Yeah.
whole thing to get people to care, but it's good that you can do that to like show the human aspect of it. Yeah. I did notice the charts in your film and everything was just skyrocketing in terms of accidents and deaths of animals and humans. So
Yeah.
the data does speak to
Yeah.
what's happening. Yeah. And also it seems like it's speaking that the signs are helping and it seemed like the reflective tape was helping. So I mean those are not $1 million. I mean those are cost effective ways to stop some of the things. The signs can't be that expensive, you know.
Absolutely. Those are really good ways of raising awareness
Yeah.
and getting people to slow down. But I've also seen a lot more enforcement of speeding in that area, which is
Mm-hmm.
great to see.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime I see someone pulled over, I'm like, okay, maybe other people will see that and slow
Yeah.
down
Yeah.
because you get a ticket. So I know, good things are happening, but
Good.
it's going to take some time.
And I mean the education that you guys have on your website too. Tell everyone the .org that you guys started
Yeah.
and then the
And maybe
education
we can
component.
Yeah, maybe we can put in the chat later too. It's
Yes.
North Carolina Wildlife
Yeah.
Corridor.org. And
Yes.
it's a website that kind of came out of, after we made the films, it was kind of a natural progression to have a place that can bring a lot of people together and be a collaborative area where individuals, nonprofits, photographers, anyone who is interested in conservation and specifically North Carolina can, get involved. So
Yeah.
we have some really cool things on that website, like an interactive map, for instance, that shows where all the critical places are that wildlife is traveling, and kind of the hot spots of where that is,
Mhm.
and what wildlife is there and what
That's so interesting.
working to
Yeah.
protect.
Yeah.
We have a conservationist spotlight, where we spotlight people not only in North Carolina but around the country that have done really great work for conservation. So it's a really great website to learn what's happening in North Carolina, to get involved.
Yeah.
So I encourage everyone to check that out and see for themselves
Yeah.
what's on there.
I know. I wish I was a teacher in North Carolina. I would be like teaching my kids for sure about that.
And I guess I should add that, I know Cassia has been working very, very hard
Mhm,
on
mhm.
this, but rolling out an educational platform about
Yeah.
crossings that teachers can, put in classrooms
It's
um,
so exciting. Yeah.
to teach their kids about these issues. So it's really been great,
Yeah.
and so there's a lot of resources on there for people.
Yeah, and Cassie's gonna be on next year, so I'm excited. We can talk about that whole educational component, and both of you have been so passionate about it, and it's been so fun watching you guys, make, strides in this area. And then, like, when you guys got the money in December, it was just like, or I forget it was December, I think.
Yeah,
You
December.
guys got that. Yeah, and that was so exciting. I was just so happy for you guys. It was so cool. But what are some of the obstacles you faced making a film the very first time?
Oh, what didn't we face?
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, the biggest obstacle, of course, was that there were so few red wolves.
yeah,
And so to even find a red wolf was a big feat in itself. And
yeah.
then to be able to film a red wolf to
Right. Yeah,
in the film was a huge deal. And we were really kind of running up against our deadline, so we were very nervous, although we didn't really talk about it.
yeah,
And how it finally happened is we were all out there and we were all kind of, we separated just so we can kind of cover more ground.
yeah.
And we got a call from Cassie. She had spotted a red wolf,
Mhm.
and so we all kind of came to where she was, and the red wolf had actually gone into the brush in the middle of two fields, very thick, dense,
Mhm.
scraggly
Mhm.
brush. So I said, well, why don't we do this? Why don't, because the wolf could come out either side, right? So I said, why don't one of us get on one side and one of us get on the other side? There she is. Um, and we'll wait. And we sent our other partner, Nancy,
Mhm.
up to the other road to kind of look with binoculars and keep us posted on what she sees. And so, we went and we got into the brush, and I remember getting like really down low and just hunkering down, and we waited maybe 15, 20 minutes, and my legs were starting to fall asleep because I like
Yep,
sat wrong, but I'm trying to be
yep.
really quiet and things are itchy and like all the scraggly stuff is all over. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, this isn't going to happen. Like she might have laid down for hours, like we have no idea. And finally, maybe after about 20 minutes, all of a sudden, she comes out. And I about, had a heart attack and passed out. And then I had to, you know, remember what Cassia said about filming. And I was like, okay, make sure I'm
Yeah,
filming,
Phil,
not
push
just
the
taking
button.
photos. I did take a few photos, obviously, but it was, she came out, and even though like she was quite a distance from me and I had, big 600 prime on,
Mhm.
she was quite a distance from me, but every time I felt like I even like moved a teeny bit, like even a little, that she would kind of look up and I was like, oh my gosh, like if
Oh,
she sees
yeah.
me or, so I had to like sit like super still and just like move my finger to, kind of hit the shutter and
Yeah.
or just move the camera ever so slightly to, to follow her movements. But it was, it was just so exhilarating to finally see her. And after all the kind of excitement died down, we realized that so this wolf was one of the oldest on the landscape. She died some years ago, but she died
Mhm.
at age 14.
Oh, wow.
Inordinate, it's just
Yeah.
such an advanced age for a wild wolf. Like it just
Yes.
really happened like that. And the the special, it was just so special that she was the one that got into the film
Mhm.
because, this film was about the challenges that they face, which are numerous. And so
Hmm.
she has, lived in this area. She was born in this area. She's lived in this area. She has changed, all of these challenges she has faced and persevered. So the fact that she was the one
Yeah.
was so special to us. I mean, it just the whole thing just, kind of really warmed our hearts that she was the one who finally made it in the film because it was a story about perseverance and
Yeah.
fighting and
Surviving. Yeah.
surviving. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was really nice that she ended up being the one.
That is so cool. I would be shaking. I'm sure you
I
were
I
too.
was. I'm surprised I got, anything at all that I remember to even like push the button because
I
yeah, it
know
was really
sometimes my
cool.
brain just goes black.
Yeah,
And I'm like, oh, okay, what am I doing? Because it's just some things are just so magical when they happen out there
and
that it
this
just
was
it's like,
absolutely.
wow. Yeah. Um, so do you have encouragement for anyone listening on how to take that next step, take the steps to make a difference? Because as you said, like the three of you had not done this before. Like, do you have tips for people that to use their photography to make a difference?
Yeah, so especially in this day and age, it's sometimes really hard to look forward, right? There's so
Mhm.
much bad news coming out. There's so much negative with wildlife and kind of the uphill battle that wildlife has. But I think it's really important to, be able to do the small things and contribute in some way because it does make a difference. So, all these little things added up do make a difference, and we're seeing that. So, finding ways to get involved, whether it's with a bigger organization like, Wildlands Network, uh,
Mhm.
whether it's with a small organization, park cleanup, volunteering, Red Wolf Coalition, I mean, if you don't have the time, donating to those, to these small
Mhm.
grassroots
Yeah.
organizations that are really on the ground doing the really important work. That also is really important. So,
Yeah.
um, but just, in your local communities, even if it's not, with an endangered species, like helping, clean up in your local park, having conversations with people. If you're a photographer, then yes, obviously ethically
Mhm.
taking those photos and sharing, these animals' stories and their plight is
Yeah.
really important. And, you never know who you're going to reach and
Yeah.
what, might snowball out of that. So, yeah, go, looking in your local community, getting involved. But check out, if you look at our website, there's lots of organizations that we work with and partner with that look for volunteers for, everything from, specific days, where they're looking for things that people can do to,
Yeah.
doing things online, et cetera. So there's lots of opportunities out there, if you look. So
Yeah, that's cool. Find something that interests you, find something local, or like if with an organization, offer your skills, offer your
yeah,
expertise. Yeah, that's good. And or donate some of your photos, things like that. I
yeah,
remember in I think it was in one of the films I was watching on your website, they were saying like some people didn't even know there were red wolves in
right,
North Carolina. So just bringing awareness, just in my little local 105-acre nature preserve, people don't realize like we have owls and deer and all those things right in town,
right,
but they don't realize that. So it's little simple things like you said, just to bring awareness and then follow your passion and those
exactly.
were good tips, very good tips. So, how did this all start? This passion. So,
Well,
2017,
yeah, kind of
things totally
accidentally.
changed.
Yeah, I was going to Antarctica,
Mhm.
and so I thought, good to have a camera. So I got one. Kind of a out of the box. Didn't
Yep.
really know anything about it, and so I went on this trip, and I had no idea what I was doing. There was a photographer on that trip that was kind of doing like group photography, like making a video and stuff. So he was like a
Mhm.
trip photographer.
Mhm.
Kind of, I of course cozied up to him and said, "Hey, can I ask
Teach
you
me
some
something.
stuff?" He was very nice, and he did kind of teach me a few things, and of course, I screwed up everything I possibly could at the beginning. But taking those first photos and kind of looking through the lens, you know, it. something triggered, something happened. It kind of transformed the way I started viewing the world. And
Yeah.
I'd always loved animals. I'd never really, um, all animals, but I'd never really like hung out with wildlife or had done a lot of wildlife
Yep.
stuff. I never really kind
Hmm.
of thought about it in that way. But this something, something shifted here, and I just started seeing animals through a whole new lens, if you will.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was
Yeah.
an addiction was born. And I never looked back from there. But it was several years of making lots of mistakes, learning, kind of taking it all in. And,
Hmm.
I mean, this photography is a lifelong learning type
Yes.
of thing, and you never stop. But, those first few years were just really transformative in that way.
Yeah.
And I just like, yeah, I was hooked.
I totally understand. My
Yeah.
story is similar. Yeah, very similar. And even 2017 is my year too. I hear that year over and over again from people. I don't know what happened in 2017.
I don't know.
It is so strange. People will be like 2017. I'm like, another one.
You're to become a photographer, I guess. It was
I
almost
know.
2018, so I guess maybe I could call it
Yeah,
2018.
yeah. But there is something about like I feel like a camera gives me a voice, makes me braver, gives me a purpose. And it's so interesting when people find their creative tool to help enhance their passion and things you didn't know were going to be your passion. It's so interesting. Yeah. So what are some of your favorite places? I know in North Carolina, you have an abundance of wildlife.
Well, besides North Carolina, which of course I love,
Yeah.
and I'm in the peaceful places here that I go to, and
Yeah.
I need to be away from the world.
Yeah.
It's a really great way for me to get out in nature and just do what I love and
Yeah.
find some peace. I love Africa. I've
Mm-hmm.
many, many, many times, and
Yes.
it's just such a joy to be there every time. So Africa and Alaska, I really love
Yeah.
the brown bears and well, just everything about Alaska. So
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
being. It's hard to, I love being everywhere.
I know. I know. It's hard to
Only pick a
pick.
couple of
It really
places,
is
but
hard to pick.
yeah,
I'm,
but
I'm
those
starting to narrow down things I don't want to do, but otherwise, there's a long list of things I do want to do. It's like, oh man, how am I going to do
too
all this?
many, too
Too
many
many.
things.
I know. Well, let me show a North Carolina image. We showed the red wolves, but I want to show some more, one more, because it's you have so many, but this one is so beautiful. So beautiful. Do you have a name of this image?
So this one I actually called when they think no one is watching, the bears dance in the forest.
Oh.
And this was actually completely accidental.
Hmm. Hmm.
This was one of those shots, and I always tell, my clients and my guests that, you really have to envision, what you want. It might take years to get, a photo that you've envisioned, but it's really important to have a vision of what you want because when that happens, then you can be ready, right? So
Yes,
I
yes,
always envision this is one particular place I go, and I'd always envisioned that there would be bears, and then they would run out into the path and they would play
yes, yes.
with this, kind of tunnel look through the forest.
Hmm.
And, it hadn't happened, years went by. And all of a sudden I was there one day and I was actually photographing some bears that were closer to me. And it was starting to get dark. The sun was setting. And as, I was photographing these two other bears that were closer, all of a sudden out of the corner of my eye, I just saw like a little flash and I spun around and I literally only got off just a couple of photos. I had no time for adjustments, no anything. And,
Yes, yes,
had very different lighting situations going in two different directions. But
yes.
sure enough, these two very young bears kind of ran out in the path and they reared up on their hind legs. So they're silhouetted because they're very far.
Hmm.
It was quite dark in there. And they reared up and they did a little patty cake.
Oh, so cute.
And they were gone, like just like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
It was two
yeah.
seconds.
Oh,
And but
that's
that,
so interesting how quickly a vision can happen.
yes. And
It's
that's why
so interesting.
to really kind of try to visualize, these little moments. But that was the vision I had, and this was the best I got. But
Beautiful.
to me, it's a really special photo just because, yeah, it's this special place, and it's a story, right? Like,
Yes,
what are they
absolutely.
doing? It's these bears, and are they big and dangerous, or are they just playful? And so just
Hmm. Hmm.
it just kind of begs some questions, and it's
Yeah.
it's a story shot for me that yeah, that I had kind of envisioned, but happened a little too fast.
Well, it looks
I wanted
great.
it
It's
to, but
beautiful. It's
yeah,
almost like not just a story, but fairy tale like. It's so pretty.
yes, it
It's so
was very.
pretty. Yeah. Well, I want to show your polar bear image too. So where did you get that image?
Let's see, which polar bear?
Okay, I'm sorry. Here it comes.
Ah, yes. So
It's
that's
a
in
polar bear with a
Svalbard.
reflection. Okay.
Yes, that was in Svalbard,
Okay.
and this polar bear we actually nicknamed Digger because he really liked digging for stuff.
Hmm.
But that was just, yeah, just a really special moment where he'd been digging, and then he kind of wandered along the shore, and we were on a very tiny little sailboat, and so we
Hmm.
just kind of hung out there, and then he came to the water, and he just looked down, and it was reflective, and it was just like this moment, this peaceful little moment where he just saw his own reflection, and yeah, it
It's
just
beautiful.
was
And I
great.
love the texture in his fur. It's
Yes,
beautiful.
yes,
It is really, really beautiful.
he was quite close, and so it was nice. It was a nice.
Yeah. And then you said Africa is a favorite place, and I have not been. I've said this many times now on the podcast.
That's where you're going
No, I have not
next.
been. It's on my list. But your images are stunning. And I was asking you about this zebra image. It's so beautiful. So this is a zebra, is a mother and baby.
Mother and baby, and actually this was I kind of show this to people sometimes, and I say, uh, especially like clients that aren't on Lightroom, I'm like,
Mhm,
okay, we've got to do some Lightroom with you, because this was actually in the middle of the day.
mhm,
It was,
mhm,
light was terrible, and around was, kind of brushy bushes, and not really nice looking things.
mhm.
But I saw this moment coming between this very, very tiny baby and his mom, and I just wanted to kind of capture that moment, that little interaction between
Yes.
them, just how he was trying to cozy up to her, and
Mhm.
so I got the shot, but there was a lot of kind of yucky stuff around, and so I said, well, you know what, I just want to black everything out and just lose everything except for that moment, just those two
Yeah.
faces.
Yeah.
It's kind of what came out of that.
It's
um,
gorgeous.
and
It's just the gesture and that tail swishing and the chin up. It's beautiful of just an intimate moment. That's
Yeah,
so
and
pretty.
I
It's
think you phrased it
striking.
really well. Is in, I wanted to capture that intimate moment between
Yes.
mom and baby, and with all the other stuff in the photo, it would have been very distracting. And of course, zebras make great black and white.
Yes.
So it
I
was
was
a
gonna say.
natural, yeah, it was natural to just kind of make it a black.
And then you have some beautiful like sunset, almost just like it's just fire behind them. This zebra.
Uh,
It's so
Dust.
beautiful.
Oh my gosh, I love dust. And
Oh yes, yes.
at the same time, yes, this is
Mhm.
actually in Botswana, and there's a whole herd of zebras, and the sun was going down, and they were just kicking up all this dust, and
Yes.
I this was part of a photography tour that I was co-leading, and I said, okay, everybody, get ready because there's dust and zebras and sun, and this was like
It's coming.
backlit kind of
Yeah.
stuff, and turned out really nice, with all the dust rising, and the sun setting.
Yes. Yes.
Of course, zebras have that amazing mane in the back there that's really lends itself well to to light shining through.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a really nice moment.
So do you remember, like, did you, with your exposure, did you stop down? Did you to capture that backlight? How did you do you remember?
Yeah, I had to I took my ISO, way down to kind of
Mhm,
dark and everything.
mhm.
But and then, things were moving quickly, so you still had to
Yeah.
have enough shutter speed.
Yeah.
Um, no, it was quite the sun was setting quite quickly.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was in the moment, it happened so fast, because as you know, when the sun starts setting, it's so fast. So there was a lot of very quick maneuvering, and
Yes.
very
Yes. It
done.
shows you how important it is, the practice, 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 getting that muscle memory down and being ready.
That's right.
Being ready. I know.
Absolutely.
And I still make mistakes. Like I think I'm doing that and I still make mistakes because things are moving so quickly.
Yep. But that's how you
Sometimes
learn. I
that's how you
mean,
learn. Yep. Keep
Humble
reassessing, keep
part of the process. That's right.
You talked a little bit about showing the soul in animals and, like, the spirit and their personality, and so do you have tips for people? I'll put your this is a beautiful male lion backlit with a dark background, his side silhouette for people who are listening, but do you have tips for people how to do that? How do you what are you looking for to bring out that soul of an image or the personality?
So, that's actually, I didn't really even maybe notice it at first. But people then kind of kept telling me like, oh, what I really love is that you've captured the soul or the personality of an animal. And I may have sent you the one with the little bear in the tree looking up.
Oh, yes, yes, we can look
They're
at
not,
that one too. Yes.
I think the most important thing, and again, sometimes you don't even realize it. But what I've learned is it obviously takes a lot of patience, but understanding, yeah. There he is.
So sweet. So this is a little
Um,
black bear cub
yeah, this little black
peering
bear.
out from the V of a tree, just his sweet little eyes. Yeah.
But kind of understanding and anticipating what an animal is going to do kind of goes a long way.
Mhm.
Um, I think probably the most important thing is to really, to let animals act naturally. And that takes a lot of patience and letting something unfold. So, it's not rushing into grab a photo. Sometimes it doesn't happen at all. But letting the animal act naturally. So making the animal comfortable,
Mhm.
sometimes being, quite far or taking your time or just sitting there and waiting. As you know, wildlife photography is a lot of waiting, but letting things unfold. And then when wildlife becomes comfortable and they kind of they're doing their thing, that's when you can really kind of capture that interaction, right? So this photo was he was interacting with his sibling that was higher up in the tree, and they had just woken up from their little nap. And so I was like, okay, I think we might get some stuff going because I'd waited for a long time
Yeah.
to, wake up.
Yeah.
And once they did, they kind of started looking at each other. And that's when I captured this was he's actually looking up to see his sibling, which is
Oh,
he's in a
so
higher branch
sweet.
because kind of that daydreaming look.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, just watching and waiting and learning how to anticipate, learning the body language, where might they go, what might they do next. That just takes a lot of practice and a lot of just watching
Yeah.
in the field and letting things unfold naturally.
Yeah. So practice, patience, learning animal behavior, anticipating animal behavior. Yeah, all those things. It's not just an easy snapshot. My
Right.
husband used to say, Jen, I think people think you're just going on vacation and taking these photos. I'm like, what? Are you serious? He's like, I'm sorry, but I think that's what people think. And
Well,
I'm like,
and
oh my gosh. So now when I go places, I say I'm going on a work trip,
that's
you know,
right.
because it's not vacation.
I mean, it's super fun
It's
and
super fun and it's beautiful,
yeah, but it
but I'm
takes
exhausted, you know? So, we do work hard
we
in our
do.
fun. So in 2022, you had kind of a surprising, not the surprise that you won, but a double win for the Wildlife Comedy Photography Awards.
Well, it was a surprise to me.
Yes.
When I got that call, I was like, okay, you sure? I actually, because and Nancy Earhart, who's on this call, is like, you need to enter contests.
I know some people are really good at
I'm
entering things, and
really
I'm just not. I have entered the comedy awards with a
okay.
moose that was like smiling,
Okay.
but I'm just not good at entering contests. But some people are so good at it.
And
But
she's very good.
yes.
And she kept kind of bugging me to enter, and I said, okay,
Mhm,
finally.
mhm,
So I entered the Wildlife Comedy Photography Awards.
mhm,
I think I entered 5 photos total,
mhm.
and two of them won both sides of the contest. So they have like the grand prize. So the
Yeah.
one is judged by a panel of judges, and then they have the People's Choice, which is voted on by anybody
Yes.
around the world. And so I got this call. There he is, my little uh, lion cub falling out of a tree. So this won the grand prize, and I called this one Not So Cat-Like Reflexes.
Yes, it's not
Was
what you
there.
expect.
Yes, I did not expect that. And so, the reason I think it won is because there's just I haven't seen any other photos of lions falling out of trees.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah,
unique, technically speaking, it's not that great. You can see some blur and stuff because, when we came upon the scene, it was getting a little dark. This was in Tanzania, by the way. It was getting a bit dark, so I had my shutter speed a little lower, and it was these two cubs in a tree. It was a big acacia tree, and they were just up there, and I was like, okay, great. I'll get some cute shots of, baby lions in a tree. And so that's kind of what I was doing. And then all of a sudden this, and again, I still didn't even, anticipate because that's what, I'm supposed to be doing, but I didn't anticipate it falling out of the tree because like how could
yeah,
I?
yeah.
But he kind of looked like he wanted to get out and all of a sudden he did, but he did it in a very uncat-like way. He fell out, sending bark and all sorts of stuff all over the place. He landed on all fours, just so people
Of
know,
course. Yes, yes.
injured. And but that's, again, it won because I think it was just a really unique perspective
Yeah,
that you don't often see
yeah,
lions falling out of trees.
yeah. It's unique, it's cute, it's funny, it's relatable.
Yep, we
I
all
was
have those
thinking that's
days.
pretty much what I looked like getting out of the Zodiac with whale
It's
watching.
like getting out of bed in the morning sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Everything's a
then you had
comfort.
another one out of the five that won People's Choice, right?
Yes,
The
and
penguins. It is so
uh,
cute.
penguins. And so of course, I was really shocked when they called me and they said, "Hey, we need to keep, you need to keep the secret, but we're going to be
Mhm,
announcing. But you've won both sides of this contest, and I think that was the first time it's ever happened. But this is in Antarctica. Uh,
mhm,
two penguins, a Gen 2 and a Magellanic, and I've been sitting on that beach and kind of watching. This is Carcass Beach in the Falklands, actually, so close to Antarctica,
mhm,
on the way to Antarctica, I should say.
mhm.
And I was watching these penguins kind of hop out of the water. So they'd kind of swim up and they were just so like, they'd get out and they just looked so erratic, right? And they were just so funny that the way
Yeah.
they got out, they would shake. And it was just hilarious to watch them. And so I snapped a few photos and I didn't even know. I kind of didn't even realize what I'd gotten until much later, actually. And so when I'd finally, looked at it, I was like, huh. And it turned out, again, I had no idea that because this was when I first was starting, so I had no idea
Yeah.
what I was doing at all. But it turned out that the penguins were facing the right way, the flipper's up, giving him the flipper, the other guy's kind of looking away. So if the penguin on the right had looked the other way, it would be a completely different photo. It wouldn't be
Yeah,
what it
yeah,
is. But
yeah.
the fun thing about this one was I got emails from people that would say like, because I never put on my website until people
Yeah,
started writing, like, hey, I want to
yeah.
buy this because my 2-year-old daughter reminds me of that penguin because she's so
Oh,
sassy.
that's fun.
Or
I
my
was gonna say this
girlfriend or my
one's very
wife.
relatable too. Yes,
Yeah,
very
just
relatable. Yeah. The talk
kind
to
of
the hand. Yeah.
penguin with an attitude. And so
Yep.
it was kind of fun to see how people, took to it because they could all, they had people in their lives that were like, oh my gosh, that penguin reminds me of my wife, or that penguin reminds me of my
You're like,
child.
oh,
And so it's fun, but
yeah,
it's
yeah.
the one that got the People's Choice. So.
That is fun. And how did that change your photography in 2022? How did that change your whole like business or career?
Well, at the time, I didn't really, I mean, think too much of it. I think of
Yeah,
content really differently now, and I'm
yeah,
still really bad about entering them. I've entered a whopping two,
yeah,
um, the first one that I've ever entered. So, I do have I do want to enter more. I do
yeah,
have a bit of a different perspective, and
yeah,
winning some of these contests is a really good foray into potentially also raising awareness for some conservation issues. So I'm trying
yes,
to look at it in that kind of light. And yes, I want to identify some that I'd like to enter.
yeah,
It'd be great to place at all. But just raise, to win one of those, I think would have a really, I didn't realize it back in 2022.
right.
I wish I had, but I think, if I won something now, I could kind of streamline it into some conservation issues
Yeah,
as
your message. Yeah, that's true. That's a good way to look at it for all of us. That's a good tip. Now, I can see this passion, and I know we share the same passion. I know what it feels like, and I think you've extended that to helping other people
well.
find their passion with photography and excel at their craft. How did you know you were ready to do that, and what have been some great experiences that you can remember with other people just teaching them?
Yeah, and honestly, like I never thought that that would be a thing for me
Yeah,
because I didn't see myself as that at all.
yeah,
And what I found is when I actually started working with people, I loved it. I really enjoyed sharing information and watching people grow. I
yeah,
think, the one example I might, that just kind of pops into mind, and I'll tell you, I've had some amazing clients. And I have people that are pros that they just need to be put in the right place.
hmm,
And then I have people that are literally pulling cameras out of a box for the first
yeah,
time. And
yeah,
I love working with all of them because
yeah.
it's all different. But I had, early in the summer, I had a 14-year-old girl
Oh,
and her dad.
fun.
And the two of them came to North Carolina, and she was, I mean, she was just a spark. Like she peppered me with questions. She wanted to know everything. And it was just such a joy to
Oh, yeah,
a young person like be so interested. And she showed me some of the photos she had taken. They had arrived a day early, and they'd gone out and kind of like shot some stuff. And she showed me some. And she had an older camera, and I said, well, we'll work with what you've got. And
yeah.
so I started showing her what she can do in the field by moving herself around, by how she was shooting the light, like all of these things. And just to watch her grow in those
Oh,
two
that's
days,
so fun.
I mean, that was just such a joy. It
Yeah,
like it's moving when people are excited about what they're getting and they're excited to learn. I love that part of it,
yeah,
especially with young people that are just getting started. It's 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 just so exciting to teach them, and like you can just see they're like sponges. They just are
I
taking
was gonna
everything
say she
in.
probably just got it really quick.
Gosh,
Yeah,
yeah. And just to see her improvement,
yeah,
like it was just so gratifying, and it made me really happy. And so that's what I'm in it for. Like that to me is what it's all about, is to watch people grow and enjoy their time,
yeah.
um, and just see animals for the first time. I don't know if Sarah's on here. She came with me to South Africa. This is another one that just kind of jumps to mind. It was her first time in Africa.
Mhm.
And I was sitting in the back of the vehicle with her. And the very first day out, we had two male lions, and because we'd heard about on a kill,
Yeah.
and we got there, and this one male lion just comes right out and just comes towards the car. And at this point, I've got my cell phone out, and I'm just videoing her taking
Oh,
photos because he's
yeah,
walking right
yeah.
towards her, and then he kind of turns, and so he finally comes, walks past the vehicle, like right past the vehicle. And this is her first time, right? And so she kind of turns
Here
to
she
me.
is. Sarah's on. She says,
I'm her, right?
OMG, the best experience ever. Yeah, she's here. That's
But
fun.
like that to me, like that video, like when I have a bad day, like I'll watch that video because
Yeah,
her face,
yeah.
so she turns to me and she's like her mouth is open, and she's like, oh my God, that just happened. And like the joy I felt in that
Yeah,
moment, like,
yeah.
watching her
Have joy.
see
Yeah, and
animal
excitement.
for the very first time.
Yes.
Like, oh my gosh, that's what it's all about.
That is
It's
so,
so
so
great.
cool. Yeah, I've seen comments already on here of people that have worked with you and who are excited to hear from you tonight. And like you can tell they've been on trips with you. And Nancy says anticipation is Jennifer's superpower. When we were talking about animals before, that is super cool. So tell me a little bit about the tours you're gonna lead in 2026. Are you
Mhm.
finished with tours for the year, 2025?
I am.
2025? Yeah.
Yeah. Can
So
you believe 2025? I'm still
no,
trying
it's
to wrap
gone
my
by
brain around.
so quickly, so quickly. It was like, where did September go? Now October's almost over. I know.
I can't
It's
believe it.
going by so quickly. I don't know if it's because I'm getting older and things go by faster or just it just seems
Don't
like it.
remind me.
I know. I
Yes.
don't want to think about that. I
Yes,
don't want to
all
think
you
about that.
young people, you probably don't feel it, but yes, I can't believe it's almost over. But yes, I'm done for 2025. I've got a couple
Mhm,
of personal trips that I'm doing. Um,
mhm.
some family stuff.
Yeah.
2026 will be here. Seems to be in a second.
Yes.
And I'm really excited because next year I've got some of my own trips that I'm leading, but I'm also going to be working with Women in Wildlife Photography,
Hmm.
lead some trips for them. Um,
Yes.
One of them will be to Yellowstone in the winter in February.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
I'll be doing a primates tour in Rwanda and Uganda.
Oh,
Uh,
I did see some of your, I want people to look at, well, we're going to talk about your Instagram later, but that gaze you have from a gorilla in Rwanda on your Instagram is so beautiful. People need to check that out.
the
But
life-altering experience. I know
yes,
that sounds dramatic, but
no.
it, yeah, to be next to these animals is just
And like staring into your soul, you said.
so it's so they are so human-like, and we, yeah,
Yes.
you really see you see humanity in
Mm,
them. Um,
mm. So
and
leading that will be really life-changing for other people then too.
yeah, oh, absolutely. And
Yeah.
then I'm doing an Alaska trip for
Yeah.
women in wildlife photography. So I'm really excited about that because that's, of course, women only. I really love those. I
Yeah.
love sharing these trips with like-minded women that want to learn and have these experiences.
Yeah.
I'll also be doing a couple of trips that are my own. I've got one to India that still has some space available
Yeah.
in April. I've got one to Patagonia, which is actually full at the time.
Oh,
Uh,
that's nice.
I will be soon adding
Oops.
my,
I wanted to
oh,
show. I'm sorry. I'm trying to show. I got grabbed the wrong one. I was trying to show your tiger image. If I can find it. I thought I had it up here.
where's that kitty?
Well, where is he? I know. Where is he? I know I had him up, but I guess he's gone. Sometimes the screen sharing is just like the bane of my existence. Let me show Alaska though. We didn't get to show Alaska, and you can talk about that a little more. This one's so cool, the shaking it off. It's a brown bear, Alaskan brown bear, coming out of the water, shaking droplets all over the place. It's gorgeous. Fur all over the place.
Love the fur, love the texture,
Yes.
really nice.
The color palette.
Great background. So I'll be leading a trip for women and wildlife to Alaska, and also one of my own that's for men and women.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that will be in July. And I will also be adding very soon, I'm just trying to finalize some details, a trip to Zambia in
Okay. Wow.
next year. So look for those. If you haven't signed up for my newsletter, please sign up for that and you can get
Yes.
the access to trip announcements. But yeah, next year promises to be really exciting for some new wildlife experiences. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm really looking forward to having some great people with me and showing them these amazing places.
Yeah, that is a big year. You're going to have lots of adventures and get to watch a lot more people have joy and learn new things. That's exciting.
Absolutely.
So if you have questions for Jennifer, go ahead and put them in the Q&A and she's going to answer those live with us tonight. And then I just was wondering, like, what do you see most in people with their, like, what fear do you see most in your clients? Do they have fears, or what is the biggest thing they need to overcome?
Um, I think it really depends on, where people are in their journey.
Yeah,
This year. I think, for beginners, especially, I think there's so much focus on like, okay, I've got the animal and I'm hyper focused on the animal and that's all I
yeah,
see. I probably see that as the biggest, and they're afraid to move around. They're afraid to, um, miss something. And so they're not really looking at the entire photo. They're not really looking at the composition, which is
yeah,
totally normal.
yeah,
But that's kind of like with, beginners, we try to work through some of that
yeah,
and understanding like, okay, once you've zeroed in on the animal, like let's look at everything else. Let's look at the
right,
background, the surroundings, the distractions,
right.
light.
Yeah, yeah,
How would you move yourself to get the picture you want? For some of the more experienced photographers, it's kind of working through, anticipation. Where should we be? Really learning the behavior, and behavior is really fun to watch. I love animal behavior
yeah, yeah,
and really kind of like, okay, like get ready, something might happen. This is what might happen. Where do we need to be for it?
yeah. Anticipation. There you
So it just, yeah, so it really ranges, depending on where people are in their journey.
Yeah. I would think that just as you're the beginners, when you're learning that technical,
Mhm.
it is so intimidating at first. So I can see how people freeze and like it's hard to think about composition because you're like, do I have the right ISO? Do I have
Yeah.
the right?
And there's so many things
Oh,
to think about. I mean, there's so much going on all at
yeah.
once, and but
Yeah.
that's where the learning takes place is, you
Yeah.
know, kind of working through that and getting the muscle memory of your
That's
camera.
right. That's right. It does come. It does come. It
Does.
really does. I know at first it just seems so overwhelming, but it does come. So we
Mhm.
do have a question from Phoebe Carnes. She is I think she's I'm sorry, Phoebe, I can't remember if you're North Carolina or South Carolina, but she's a Carolina photographer, a young one. And hey, Jennifer, what is one of your most unexpected or surprise wildlife encounters that you've had?
Oh my goodness. Gosh, just one.
Yeah.
Well, like the line falling out of the tree one was probably very surprising. Uh,
Hmm.
just not being not expecting that. Um, I think I've had a lot of really amazing wildlife encounters that can all kind of go into this category, but I think like a really memorable one that I wasn't that was behavioral as well was with this group of elephants that kind of came out of nowhere when it was in Africa and we'd stopped to look at an elephant skull.
Yeah.
Um, and we're just it's kind of the middle of the day, like late morning, so nothing really great happening.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like looking at the skull and everything, and all of a sudden this herd of elephants just comes out of nowhere. And we're on the ground. We're out of the vehicle. We're on the ground. And the matriarch is like super mad, right? She is just angry and we're like, okay. So we very slowly got up, we walked to the vehicle. And then, we didn't really understand what was happening, but one by one, starting with the matriarch, like she calmed down, they went over and they all like paid their respects to this was obviously a family member that had
Hmm.
passed away.
Hmm.
And they literally all went by one and like put their trunks and their foot on the skull and kind of just kept walking. And we're already in awe and just kind of sitting there. But
Yeah.
what shocked me after that was this matriarch that was completely mad not, 10 minutes before that and was, flapping her ears and,
Mhm.
doing all that. She walked right up to the vehicle, and I mean right up to the vehicle. And it was just the three of us in it and our guide and our spotter. She walked up to the vehicle completely calm and just looked every single one of us.
Oh my goodness. I just got chills.
I mean, I was like, I don't think there was a dry eye
I
in the
know. Yeah.
car, but we were all, and it was completely silent,
Yeah.
full silence. And like, so after that happened, I was like, did she just come over and like acknowledge, like kind of almost thanking us that we let we let them do their
Hmm.
procession kind of almost and pay
Hmm.
respects to their fallen family member. So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was probably like behavioral wise, like that was just so, I don't know, just really opened my eyes to how, amazingly similar wildlife is to us and all of these things that,
Yes.
we think is belongs to us humans. It really doesn't. All these other animals really have all of these attributes as well. And
Yes. And even more than we do that we don't even see or know
I
of.
mean,
All their
yeah,
senses and everything. Yeah.
and I
Phoebe
think humans
says,
see
wow, that is such an incredible and moving moment to witness. Yeah. I've only seen that like on documentaries. And even then, just watching it is like you just get chills and you just have so much respect for who they are as a species. And it's definitely one of my top species I want to photograph just because of that, because of
yeah.
the wisdom and history and familial ties that they have. It's just so incredible. So incredible. It's amazing. Well, I love that story. I literally got chills.
Yeah. Thanks, Phoebe. That was a great question,
Great
but
question, Phoebe. Yes, thank you so much. Well, let's do the speed round and we'll see if anybody else. Oh, here are thoughts on balancing ecotourism and conservation and preservation. That's from Leanne.
yeah. So, there's so much gray area here, and
Mhm.
I certainly am no expert, and there's so much varying degrees of opinions here. There's a lot of tourism. I think, going with, obviously going with uh, tour operators, providers, et cetera, that are, um, you know, eco-friendly, wildlife focused, wildlife uh, conservation focused is really kind of the first step, right? There's a lot of, there's there's over tourism everywhere, so it's really tough. But really asking questions about whether people are baiting, whether they're, how they handle situations where there might be, conflict with animals or, safety. So I don't know. It's a really tough, it's a tough balance. I don't
Yeah.
know that anyone has an answer, but I think, really focusing on people who do it right and asking a lot of questions is your first step.
Yeah.
Um, and I like, on my trips, I do like to do something conservation. It's not always possible, but like in Africa, we had a conservation day almost where, we had a speaker come during our break that runs Saving the Wild, actually. She came out, she talked to us about rhino conservation, what she's
That's nice. Yeah.
doing, the political forces that were in play. And then we went out and did like a rhino walk with her and kind of saw some rhinos on foot. So that was really special and really
That's cool. Yeah.
tied it all together. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you, Leanne, for that question. Another question, Barry says, individual photos can tell a story and sets of photographs can develop very detailed stories. How do you build stories as you shoot?
Well, yeah, that's a great point. So, like the photo that you showed of the two bears, like that's kind of envisioning. So, building a story starts with a vision. So,
Yeah.
envisioning the story that you want to tell, and what and kind of trying to think through what these animals potentially are facing in that environment, what challenges they might have, or maybe it's something fun, like two bears playing, but it's a fairy tale in the forest. So
Yeah.
having a vision is the first step, and that vision may take quite a while to develop. But when you're in the field and it does happen, then you're kind of ready to
Right.
photograph that story unfolding.
Yeah.
So that's step number one is to envision it.
Yeah. I have to write things down. If I have to, if I'm going on a trip and I want a story or I'm envisioning, I have to make a shot list. I got away from that in 2025, I think just being busy.
Mhm.
But that does help me because like you were saying, then I guess it's in my mind, but I've written it down too. It solidifies it a little bit. And I know what I'm looking for. Especially I'm sure when you were doing the film, you guys knew you had to have these shots and
Right.
these frames.
And we had a whole storyline that we had
Right.
written ahead of time,
Yes.
we had, and of course we had like B-roll, like, hey, we want to show this, we want to show this about the environment. I hung out of a car for a while with a camera, driving along.
Yeah.
Luckily, I did a very good job driving and didn't. But I'm like literally like, a couple inches away from the road, kind of trying to, so we were trying to, yeah, tell a story, but
Yeah.
we had to envision what that might look like and
Right.
what kind of film we needed to tell the story.
Yeah. I've even thought I even have music in my head sometimes. I have like mood boards, things like that, that really like an inspiration that start that list.
Oh,
So there's
absolutely.
all ways I think that you can be creative, but I think there has to be some kind of like you said, vision and path.
Yep.
If especially, I mean, I know if you're making a film, there has to be like some storyboarding and you have to know where you're going. Yeah, because it's time consuming. Yeah. Well, if you have more questions, you can put them in the Q&A or in the chat. I'm sorry if there was one in the chat that I missed. It was going by really fast at first. So if you ask a question at first and I didn't see it, you can put that in the Q&A box and I might see it a little bit better. But we're going to move to the speed round. And it's not that speedy, but same questions I ask every episode. Yes. So the first is, what's in your camera bag that you can't do without?
So I abuse my cameras a lot. Um, more than I probably should. But so like lens cloths, the little wet ones and the dry ones, because
Mm-hmm.
there's so much stuff on there.
Yeah.
So to clean my lenses and my camera with
Yeah.
probably have to
Yeah.
go every
I
time.
know. I've been bad this year and fallen a couple times and scraped them. Yes, which they were, I try not to, but when you're out there, you don't know what's going to happen. So what's something in your camera bag that you bought, but you never use?
Um, so I take those little like hex wrenches.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We've got those in there, and I don't think I've used them once.
I know. I had to ask to borrow one time, and so now I keep them in my bag all the time. And of course, I've never used it again.
I bring it because I'm like, well, what if somebody needs
I
one?
know, I know, I know. And I don't want to ask to borrow. I want to look like I'm prepared.
I've never actually got to use it.
So, what is your favorite snack while editing or driving around trying to find wildlife or waiting?
So, I actually love like chickpeas out of a can.
Oh, interesting.
Lots of salt.
This
I
is
love,
probably the healthiest thing anyone said.
I mean, I'll eat the bag of chips every so often if it's available, but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love chickpeas. I can sit them and
yeah,
just eat them like the whole can.
yeah, yeah. And you've done like vegan trips, right? Vegan wildlife trips.
I have, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's interesting
So
that there's a niche for everything, for everybody.
there is. Those are
Yeah.
great trips too. Yeah. I forgot to say, I'm running one to Botswana
Yeah,
next year,
yeah.
in March, of those. Oh, Swedish fish. Oh my gosh, Nancy.
Nancy says Swedish fish. She's
Gotta have the
reminding
Swedish.
you.
I'm actually really superstitious about Swedish fish.
Oh, interesting. What's the superstition? You have to
I
have them with
every
you?
everyone in the group has to have a Swedish fish, or else we're not going to have good
Oh
sightings.
my gosh, this is so interesting. So there have been several in the last few months where people say there has to be candy, there has to be Twizzlers, and now Swedish fish. This is
Nancy's one
so
of those
funny.
people that is like, well, I'm fasting, so I can't break my fast. And I'm like, well, we're not going to see anything then. It's going to be all your fault. So, she has to make
This
her
is
eat Swedish
funny.
fish.
I
Uh,
maybe I need to start doing Swedish fish and Twizzlers
and
because
I've literally gone out and gotten like we've had a slow day or something, and I've gone out and gotten Swedish fish, and then like stuff starts happening, and I'm like, oh, Swedish
that is funny.
fish.
Okay, Danny Oceans has a question. What book or books are you currently reading?
Books, what are those?
I know. Do you have time?
I don't have time for books. Are those the
I
things you
know.
open and there's words?
Oh my gosh. I used to read like 75 books a year. And now I like, first of all, I feel like my phone has made me just so inattentive,
Yeah.
but also photography takes so much time that I'm like editing or taking photos or learning, like I need to read.
And I've still got kids, so I don't have
Oh,
time for
that's
books.
true. And family and work.
Family. I am actually reading two, and of course the names will escape me, but one is about an octopus, and it's actually written from the octopus's standpoint. It's an
Mhm.
octopus in the in an aquarium, and
Yeah,
you're I gosh, I do not remember the name.
that's
Uh,
okay. That's
and then
okay.
I'm also reading the book. It's wildly popular, so you may remember the name, but it's about habits. It's about forming habits. The
Atomic? Is it
habit.
Atomic?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
atomic habits. So
Yes.
I don't know. I Everyone was talking about that book, and I was like, all right, let me go read that book. But it's actually got some really pretty good stuff in there. So
Yeah, yeah. I have a
the
lot of books started.
Danny says you're in a room full of books.
It's
It's just for show. No, I'm just
because
kidding.
it's a pretty room tonight.
No, we didn't have anything else to put on this wall. Actually, no, I do love books, and one of these days I am going to read a lot more because I do love reading.
Yeah, yeah,
I actually have read quite a number of these books,
yeah.
but those are the two. Yes, Remarkably Bright Creatures. Thank you,
Oh,
Jenny.
that's right. Thank you, Jenny. I was
I
trying to think
really
of it. I could
appreciate
see the
that.
cover and I could not think of the
Yes,
name. Right. I
I
know.
can see the
I am
cover.
a I'm a English, two English degrees, former English teacher. And for me to say I'm not reading is like it's like a shame trigger.
Well, you've got a lot on your plate,
Got a lot
so
right now, but winter is coming and winter is
right.
easier.
We're
So,
all
you
gonna read
know,
a lot.
yeah,
So,
we'll
but the
read. Maybe we
Remarkably
should
Bright.
start a wildlife conversations book club.
We
Maybe we should do
should.
that.
Oh
We
my gosh,
should
I
do
would
that.
love
That would
to
be
do
fun.
None of us might actually read the book. We just come and
But
talk
if we
about
have
wildlife.
accountability, maybe we would. Maybe we would.
I'll bring the Swedish fish.
Yeah. So is there a moment in wildlife photography you shared the elephant moment, but can you think
Uh,
of another moment that just touched your soul like that, or touched your feelings, or the group?
a, a lot of yeah, I mean, but a lot of mine are kind of focused more around people as well, and,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
watching people have that moment. Um,
Mm-hmm.
watching people come, face to face with these animals for the first time. So I think I touched on a couple of those stories. There's definitely been things that are, really impactful.
I think Jenny's talking to you.
Oh, not wildlife related. Oh, you've got a
She's
question
so
there.
glad you got to hike rim to rim. Yeah,
Oh,
before the
half
fire
tail.
destroyed
Oh
it.
gosh.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, Nancy
yes.
brings up a good point. Yeah, we watched a pride takeover in Kenya, which was
Mm,
um yeah, it's just something else because you just see so many emotions. Like it's an emotional roller coaster. And what happened was, we went out early in the morning. There was all these hyenas. We could hear them, and we came upon the scene, and there's hyenas everywhere. And we're like, okay, there's a
yeah.
kill. And sure enough, we found that there was a kill in the bushes, and there was a couple of lionesses in there. And for some reason, the mom brought like these 1.5 week old cubs to the kill site, which is weird. It doesn't normally happen. And so like we have this joy all of a sudden of seeing these like teeny tiny, I mean, it was through the brush and stuff, but it was, we saw and we photographed these tiny, tiny little cubs. So we were super happy. And then kind of out of nowhere, these two male lions come from a different coalition, and we're like, oh no. And this other lioness comes out, and she's like trying to throw them off. And
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
first it looked like she succeeded, and we breathed this whole sigh of relief because we'd been like so nervous. And then we're like, okay, phew, they went away. And so they went away, and we're like, okay, thank God.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, like three of them come back. So they had left to go get like the
More.
main guy,
Oh no.
the one that was like the dominant male. And they went in and they killed the cubs. It was just like, and then that's a gut punch, right? That's like gut wrenching. And then like
Mhm.
watching the mom like desperately looking for the cubs, and
Oh no. See, that's why it's scary. I don't want to see this stuff in Africa. I don't want to
yeah,
see it.
it's hard to watch. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
fascinating, it's fascinating from, just a behavior standpoint, but
Mhm,
and so
mhm.
the roller coaster of emotions that morning was just
I'm
like
sure.
all over.
I'm sure.
And so that was pretty profound. I mean, it was over a couple of hours, and it was just like
Yeah.
it just happened. Like it was so much action and so much
Yeah.
like happiness and heartbreak and just everywhere. Um, so that was definitely one that was very memorable.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure it just also it puts you in your place where the place you are in the world, that we are
Yeah,
small. There are
yeah,
lots of amazing and heart-wrenching things happening in the world. And
yeah.
yeah. Well, thank you so much. I have learned a lot. I have learned a lot tonight.
I
I
think
think
Jenny had followed up here. I'm trying, of course, I don't have my glasses on, but
she
oh,
was
she's about the 2 mile rim to rim.
yeah, she was glad you got it in before the fire destroyed it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was so sad to see. I mean,
Yeah.
I learned about that. I think I was on a trip and I saw that, and I was just devastated. I mean, that
Yeah.
was such a special place. And
Yeah.
just finished the rim to rim kind of a couple of months before that.
Jenny has done it. I'm sorry, Jenny, I can't remember how many times, but at least twice she has done it
Oh,
and was
oh
really
gosh.
sad too about that. Yeah.
Mm.
Well, tell us where we can find you. Tell people where they can find you. Tell people where they can get prints, where they can ask you about tours, things like that. Where, how about your Instagram, your website?
So my Instagram is at Jen Hadley Photos.
Hmm.
My Facebook is just Jennifer Hadley Photography.
Hmm.
And my website is jenniferhadleyphotography.com. Very unique, right?
Very unique. Yes. Well, there's so many of us. Like it's hard to get a Jennifer handle.
I
I had
finally
to
had to
put like an
short Instagram because it was just too long.
I had to put like an L in mine just to find a Jennifer Ritchie that could work. So
And on there is like I said, there's a sign up for my newsletter. So please
yes.
sign up
Yes.
for that. And you can email me through that. And I'm happy to chat over email or over phone. And
Yeah.
yeah, forward
It's
to
perfect. It's perfect. People might want that penguin photo. for their
Yeah.
spouse.
Reminds them of their wife or husband with the
Well,
attitude.
everyone, you can say thank you to Jennifer. We had such a good night tonight, and I'm so thankful for all of you joining me. I love seeing your names. I love seeing the comments. People are saying that was awesome. Thank you. And Michelle, I think the utterly awesome Michelle said, excellent. Where is she? She
I
said
don't
something to us.
know.
Both of you, oh, Cassie is saying you both rock. What a wonderful episode. Michelle, where did your comment go? There she is. Love you both so much. Incredible ladies and photographers. This has been so fun. She has been very quiet tonight. I was thinking that she might ask some questions. Michelle, what is going on? You're so
Must be
quiet.
sick.
I also want to say hi to my parents. I know they're watching tonight. So hi, Mom and Dad. Thank you for watching like you always do. And thank you everyone for joining us. I want to thank Robert's Camera for sponsoring the podcast and for supporting me and being so supportive of wildlife photography and women in wildlife photography. I appreciate it so much. Next week, we will have Susan Winfrey on the 29th. Her episode will come out. It's pre-recorded, but we had a great conversation about the spirit bears and the Tetons in Yellowstone. It was a really good conversation and good to sit down with her. So that'll be October 29th. In November, I have Rob Hirsch coming on to talk about Yosemite, and Dr. Rebecca Cliff is coming on to talk about the sloth conservation. So it's going to be a great few weeks, great month. Next month, we've had a great fall of so many amazing people, including you, Jennifer. I'm so thankful we got to meet.
Thank you so much.
I've been hearing about this Jennifer Hadley for a couple years now from Michelle. All good things, all good things. She's been wanting us to meet. I think we could have collided in Minnesota with owls and it didn't work. Something she was working out.
We gotta make that happen.
You never know, and Michelle's always working something out. So she's always wanting a trip. So
there she is. Next time.
That's right. Well, thanks again, everyone. And I appreciate everyone being here. I know you have a lot to do and a lot of things that take your time, but thanks so much for joining us. And I hope to see everyone on the next one. Thanks again, Jennifer.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.